So before we get into rational functions, we want to make sure we know what rational numbers are. So number 1 says list some properties of rational numbers. In short, rational numbers are numbers that can be written as fractions. So, for example, numbers that can be written So the most obvious example are fractions that are already written. So like 1/3 would be a rational number. 5, 6, 71 out of 100. Anything that can be written as a fraction. Now beyond that, 2 is a rational number because I could write 2 as 2 over 1. So any integer is really a rational number. Another example that might be a little different. 0.75 would be a rational number. It's an ending decimal because I could rewrite 0.75 as 3/4. Even like 0.33 repeating. It goes on forever. A lot of times we think about rationals as decimals that have an ending to them, but really 0.33 repeating goes on forever. It has a pattern to it. It can be written as a fraction as 1/3. So essentially properties of rationals, anything that can be written as a fraction. Number 2 then talks about what are the reciprocals of those. Remember, a reciprocal is when you flip a fraction. So if we're talking about the ones from the first example, some reciprocals would be 1/3 would turn into 3 over 1, which is the same as just saying 3. 5, 6 turns into 6 over 5. So those are your reciprocals. Here's 2. The reciprocal of 2, technically 2 is over 1, so its reciprocal is 1/2. Same with those other examples, like 0.75 turned into 3/4, so its reciprocal is 4 over 3. So reciprocals are when you flip the fraction. The numerator and denominator flip spots. Number 3 says what happens when the denominator equals 0. This is going to be super important with rational expressions. So we already talked about in the warm-up, but again, anytime your denominator is 0, no matter what is on top, that means that it is undefined. And that's going to be really important with our functions because that's going to do something on the graph that's a little different than what we've seen before. So when the denominator equals 0, it's undefined. Again, that's be a big piece. So the official definition of a rational number is any number that can be written as a over b, so meaning as a fraction, where b does not equal 0. So that's kind of your official definition of a rational number. So now we're going to get into looking at the functions when we have variables in our fractions and what those graphs look like.